know the day, feel it melt away, where time cannot find me at all. Just a breath away, nothing here but heaven, nowhere but love to fall. As I go within, quiet peace offers something sacred. There's a sweetness that waits, holiest embrace that reminds me I'm always home. As I go within, quiet peace offers something sacred. There's a sweetness that waits, holiest embrace that reminds me I'm always home. It's here that I am always home.
Good evening, everyone. I welcome you to Seaside Center for Spiritual Living. I'm Reverend Carol Lotz, and it is my joy to be here. I am standing in for Reverend Debbie McDonald, and I'm just so overjoyed to be here. And as I was looking at the program, the very back, the first thing I saw was the words, "What a joy it is." So it completely confirmed to me that that is exactly what it is to be here with you this evening. So we are going to be enjoying beautiful music by this angel, Aria. And, please.
Thank you.
And beautiful piano music, too, by Jim. We're so lucky.
Yes.
So blessed. And I would just like to tell you that we're going to be talking a little bit about forgiveness. But it's going to be a little bit probably different than the normal talk on forgiveness. So I'm really looking forward to it, and I am so honored that you are spending your evening here with us. So blessings to all of you. It's going to be a wonderfully inspiring evening, and I am just so grateful. So let us begin with our practitioner, Brian.
Good evening. My name is Brian Atkins, and I have been a practitioner here at Seaside for over 14 years. And I will be doing your reading this evening. And before I begin, I would like to remind everybody that prayer will be held in the side outside the auditorium there after the service. So if you feel for whatever reason you need support, nurturing, please come see us. And now I'd like to invite you all to join me in turning within. And I know that God is all there is. God is that all-loving, all-caring source, a divinity that permeates everything and everyone. God is in the beauty and the solitude of the mountaintop, and it is the beauty and the power and the roar of the thunder of the ocean wave. And I know that God is right here, right this very moment, expressing itself through each and every one of us here at Seaside today. I know that we are all one with God. We are one with the source of love and caring and compassion. Like the colors of the rainbow, each of us is our own unique expression of the divine, expressing itself in all of its grandeur. And I give thanks in advance in knowing that each of us here this evening receives exactly that which we are here for. As the words flow forth from Reverend Carol Lott's lips, each of us is touched. Each of us receives a shift, a new outlook. And we, in turn, take that message out into the world and pass it on to others. And consciousness expands throughout the world. And so I simply turn this time over to the hands of God and know that it is perfect. And now I'd like to invite those of you who have not lit a candle to come up and light a candle. And Arya will lead us into meditation in song.
Deeper and deeper I surrender. Deeper and deeper I surrender to this love. Deeper and deeper I surrender. Deeper and deeper I surrender to this love. There's nowhere I have to go, no one I have to be, nothing I have to do but gently breathe. Breathe. Deeper and deeper I surrender. Deeper and deeper I surrender to this love. Deeper and deeper I surrender. me so alive. Where there is injury, pardon. Where there is doubt, faith. Where there is despair, hope. Where there is darkness, light. Where there is sadness, joy. O divine Master, grant that I may not so much seek to be consoled as to console, to be understood as to understand, to be loved as to love. For it's in giving that we receive, and it's in pardon that we are pardoned, and it's in dying that we are born to eternal life. O divine Master, grant that I may not so much seek to be consoled as to console, to be understood as to understand, to be loved as to love. For it's in giving that we receive, and it's in pardon that we are pardoned, and it's in dying that we are born to eternal life. Amen.
Thank you, Aria and Jim, for your wonderful music. So our theme this evening is the gift of forgiveness. And our first reading is from Martin Luther King. Darkness cannot drive out darkness. Only light can do that. Hate cannot drive out hate. Only love can do that. And from Mahatma Gandhi, the weak can never forgive. Forgiveness is the attribute of the strong. And from Lewis B. Smeds, to forgive is to set a prisoner free and discover that the prisoner was you. And finally, from Oscar Wilde, children begin by loving their parents. After a time, they judge them. Rarely, if ever, do they forgive them. And now I'd like to share with you a little bit about my own personal spiritual journey as it pertains to forgiveness. And this journey begins with my mother and I. And growing up, my love for my mother knew no bounds. We were inseparable. We had a very close relationship, and I feel very fortunate for that. And my mom actually turned out to be pretty good at making money, and she made a fair amount of money at a very young age, and she was very generous with it. And especially with me, taking me on trips and sending me to the best of schools. Which is why later in life, when my mother came to my wife at the time, Lisa, and I, and asked to borrow some money, it was a no-brainer. We simply said, sure. And the only thing is, at the time, we didn't have the money to cover what she was looking for, so we said, you can just charge it on a credit card, and we'll set up a payment plan. And as long as you pay the payments, everything will be fine. Well, apparently my mother had different ideas as far as the payment plan was concerned, and Lisa and I so quickly became very concerned about the fact that she wasn't making all the payments. And a few years later, Lisa and I went our own separate ways, and we got divorced. And as so often happens in a divorce, she got all the assets, and I got all the debt. And coupled with that was the fact that about that time, a company bought out my company that I was working with. And they were moving my company to Florida, and I quickly discovered that I was not invited. So at that point, I became a little bit concerned, and I crawled on my hands and knees to my mom and said, "Mom, please give me the money." And without batting an eye, she looked at me and she said, "You know, my gold stock is down. I'm going to have to wait a little while before giving it to you." And it very quickly became apparent to me that this woman, who no doubt in my mind would give her life for me, when it came down to having a choice between me possibly going bankrupt and her losing some on her investment, I better be prepared to go to bankruptcy court. And I became very angry at the time. And a lot of my friends actually told me to go out and sue her. And I was like, there's no amount in the money in this world that would ever replace that relationship with her. Now, I decided that I wasn't willing to give up this relationship with her, but I also wasn't prepared to forgive either. And before I knew it, we'd be sitting down talking in a room, and it was like this dark cloud hovering above. It's like this big elephant in the room that nobody was talking about because we didn't want to have to deal with it. And at the time, I was going through Prac 2, and one of my teachers was Reverend Diane Harmony. And she made me take a close look at this, and it was tough. She basically said, look, you need to forgive for yourself, not for your mom, but for yourself. And she also said, you want to forgive, but that doesn't mean that you forget. And she said, what I want you to do is to go and write a letter about your feelings about this. And in the end, to forgive her for it. And you don't have to send it to her, you can, but you don't have to. And I did not want to do that at all. But I finally caved in and went ahead and did it. And what I can say is, from that time on, my relationship with my mother has grown with leaps and bounds. And that, to me, is priceless. And with that, please give a warm welcome to Reverend Carol Lotz.
Thank you so much. What a powerful story and a powerful share. Thank you. Forgiveness. What a loaded subject. I was searching the internet, which is a wealth of information, as we all know. And what I came across was a conversation that the Dalai Lama had with an interviewer. And this kind of set the tone for what I wanted to speak to you about tonight. And what he said was, the question to the Dalai Lama was, what is it in you that didn't want to fight back when your country was overthrown? Why didn't you? Why didn't you fight back? And the Dalai Lama had a serious look on his face. And he said, the mind can rationalize fighting back, but the heart cannot understand that. It's the heart that couldn't do it. And so the heart is the feelings and the love and the compassion and the mind is the thinking, logical, believing stories that may or may not be true part of us that goes to places that we can justify it with our mind. But the heart cannot understand. And he went on to say, and therefore, you would be divided within yourself, and the war would be in you. Wow. So I thought about that. And I thought about the powerful invitation that is to look at where in me my head might not be in alignment with my heart, and what to do about that. And so I've come to understand that we need both. I think we need both. I know I need both because I tend to come from my heart, and sometimes it's a walking vulnerability that exists, and sometimes I need to have a boundary, which is the part of my head that aligns with my heart, and so I need to call in my mind a little bit and say, okay, support me in this. I need some support. But many times when I'm in my head, I just know that if the preponderance of my thoughts are heady, then I need to drop into my heart to love, because it's so easy to have a war start within me and that division. And so I know that forgiveness is about extreme self-care. It's about extreme self-love. It changes nothing outside of us. It changes everything within us. And it breaks the chains that we bind ourselves with through the thoughts that we believe, through the thoughts that we rationalize, things that our heart would never understand. And so again, on the internet, I was searching. I often just put it out there. What do I need to find to go deeper in? What do I need to find? What is going to show up for me? Because I know the invisible realm is always supporting me. It's always bringing things to me to look at within myself. And so I came across, if anybody's familiar with the Forgiveness Project? Is anyone familiar with that website and that book? It's pretty extraordinary. And the Forgiveness Project is about people healing their stories, and they get to tell their stories, and they're written about, and there's pictures of everyone. And if you went on Google, the Forgiveness Project, all kinds of people with all kinds of stories come up. And I know that for me, if I'm stuck in something, what's helpful to me to get out of that is to visit somebody else's story, to show mine how trivial it really was. And so it helps lift me to heal my own things, and it also calls me to awe and the grace of God, so much so that in ways I couldn't even fathom in my wildest dreams, people are forgiving other people every day. So I came across this beautiful light. Her name was Sata Jo. And I read her story. And a part of me just couldn't take it in. A big part of me couldn't take it in. I think it's the part that is the heart. She was caught in war times in Africa, and there was a civil war going on, and somebody that she knew came back. It's really sad story, so I won't get into too many of the details, but she suffered great loss by someone she knew. And she knew they were coming, the village was being invaded, and she just gave birth, and she couldn't leave. So her husband stayed with her for a little while until he got scared, and then he ran. And he got shot running away, and can't even tell you what happened to her. Ugh, it's just amazing that she lived through it, the emotional pain and the physical pain of what happened to her. But the part that grabbed me out of all the stories on the Forgiveness Project that I read, this is what got me about Sata Jo, is that at the end of the war, the revolution settled down and there was supposed peace coming back again. There was a collective intention to heal the village that was in a lot of pain. And this person, the perpetrator, the violator, the everything that caused her pain, moved back to the village, and she had to see him. And that was hard. That was hard for her. And so she saw him and just brought the pain to the surface in such a way that she had a really hard time, and she kind of withheld and withdrew from life. She punished herself. It was a very, very difficult time for her. And then, as an attempt to heal the village, they had rituals. And this one particular evening, Sata Joe was standing next to this man. And that was hard. And she was asked to take his hand and dance with him. And that was hard. And she couldn't do it. And then she did. And the amazing stillness everywhere, except in her screams of release and her sobs of terror and her overwhelming emotion. She was so in her heart and so grounded in her spirit and all that was broken within her. And you know the beautiful part of this story? She didn't cry for him. She said she cried, and she had a big smile on her face and her glowing spirit. She said she cried because she got to release all of that she was carrying. She let it all out, and it was for her. So after that, reading that story, I decided to rename the word forgiveness. And what came to me to replace forgiveness, or just to support forgiveness and what it really means to me, and I'll share it with you, is for me I give this. For me I give this. Forgiveness. For me I give this. And I thank Sata Joe, our sister on the other side of the world, who gifted me with a story that is so profound. And because, you know, that's the heart thing again, because the head part of us, I think we can rationalize punishment and revenge and for way less than she suffered. We can go to that part that really thinks peace is on the other side of some kind of horrible punishment for the person who did this. But is that really where peace is? I don't know. It's not there for me. That's the mind. But my heart doesn't understand. It understands wanting to be safe, but it doesn't understand punishing someone who's already had devastation in their own life. So that's the second part of trying to lift out of whatever we need to forgive. Whoever did that is in their own pain. And their heart is so locked up inside, they don't even know where it is or how to begin restoring it to love. But forgiveness. For me, I give this. And another thing that is helpful is to say, how can I let go of my hurt today? Whatever's hurting me, how can I let go of it? Because that's really what forgiveness is all about. It's a release. It's a tribal sob. It's a letting go of whatever is blocking me. Because our consciousness is so much present within us that whatever you're thinking about someone else is really about you. And so if I'm upset with somebody, they're having the day that they would have in their own consciousness. My being upset with them doesn't change a thing about their day. It changes everything about mine. I have the power. And we never deny the experience, the existence of the experience, but what we do deny is the power that it has over us. The power that we give it. The I'll never do that again. Well, in that I'll never do that again, you rob yourself of many beautiful things in life. How about calling it in so it can be healed? Calling it in so we can think a higher thought around whatever is troubling us. Because the ultimate gift of forgiveness is freedom. It's freedom. It's freedom. Freedom from discord, freedom from upset, freedom from what's blocking us in our shutdown. And I have a little story I'd like to share with you. It's a sweet little story about a turtle. And the turtle's name is TT. And it is a children's story. I work with children a lot, so I have a lot of those. And this one's about a turtle named TT who came into life angry. He thought it wasn't fair. Because there's a few reasons. TT was mad because he felt that he already had to effort to get here by breaking through a shell. And he wasn't happy about that. How come some have to do that and others don't? So then he came out of the egg, and then he realized it's even more not fair because he has another shell to crack. He has a second one, and it's on his back, and it's heavy, and he's mad at it. And he's like, I need to be free of this heavy thing on my back. This is not fun at all. And he held on to that so tight, and what he saw as he was holding on to his anger were things like butterflies that were free and weightless. Somehow we can call into our consciousness what it is we want and don't have easily. And all kinds of freedom floated by him in his misery and his heaviness and his back, weighted back. So TT decided he's going to handle this. He's going to break that shell open. He tried many things. So he ran across the meadow and just swung himself against a big boulder, thinking that that would work. Because right before he hit the boulder, he turned. So his shell hit the boulder, and it did nothing but make him angrier. So little angry TT tried a few more things. And at one point, he turned himself over, and he was topsy-turvy, on his back, kicking his legs and his arms in the air, all his anger, all his might, all his upset, all his injustice. And he was going nowhere. And then a smart little squirrel came by named Squeakers, and he said, "What are you doing? Do you need some help?" And TT just let loose on Squeakers, the squirrel. And he said, "I want to fly in the butterfly sky. I want to be free. I want to be light. I want to be happy. Why do I have not one shell, but two? What is it about me that had to go through this? Why me?" And so, TT the turtle was told by Squeakers the squirrel that you're supposed to have a shell. That's why you're a turtle. It's who you are. Just deal with it. You're never going to fly in the butterfly sky like a butterfly. Let's be real. This did not soothe TT. TT was still mad. So the squirrel, in his wisdom, said, "Why don't you go to the place where you were born, and maybe you can find what you're looking for there." He was tired of fighting. So he did. And back where he was born was a big body of water. So he went to look at himself. And he saw his face, looking kind of angry and discouraged. And he kept looking in the water, and he kept looking in the water, and he kept looking in the water until he could see something bigger than himself in his reflection. And in his desire to be free, in his desire to be light, and in his desire to be in the surrender, he fell into the water. And as he fell into the water and began to swim, he felt free. He felt as light as a butterfly. And he got to swim in the turtle sky. And it all went, and he was free and happy and light and joyful, and really got to understand that he was a turtle and that this was his sky. We all have our own sky, and no two are alike. Where is it that you are free and light? And where is it that we go kicking and screaming, unable to move in our life? Because perhaps a lack of forgiveness somewhere? Many times it's forgiveness with ourselves. Maybe I believed a thought that I need to let go of about me or somebody else that sets me free into my spirit sky, I call it. And it is within. And it's where I feel free. And it's where I am light. And it is where I am the happiest, in my spirit sky. And that's where God holds me, so I can do this thing called life in the best possible way, with joy and ease and love and grace, the best I can. So quiet in here. So, I invite you all to your own sky, where love is. And if it's in your head, or if it's in your heart, or if it's in the water, or in the spirit, there is no one free in that sky but you. So fly. Fly into greater love somewhere. Fly into greater life somewhere. It's already there for you. Go back to the place you were born to find it. Please turn within and pray with me. Knowing that right here, right now, that sky is beautiful right here. And that there isn't anything wanted other than the freedom that is right here, right now. Spirit sky, love, peace, joy, wisdom, all of it is right here, right now. And I know that I am sourced by this. And so is everyone in this room and everyone in this world, outside these doors, outside the community, outside this country, over to Sata Joe. Love is there too. And I know that we make a difference in how we think and how we believe and how we forgive and how we let go and how we remember that for me, I give this. It is for me. And so I just trust, and I breathe, And I fly deeper and deeper into that truth, deeper into that knowing, deeper into that spirit sky. And it is with great thanks that I am here and so present. It is with great thanks that we can come to this beautiful place that receives us with such love and kindness. This place called Seaside Center for Spiritual Living, where we are free here. And as I give thanks and move this prayer out into the law, knowing that it has to respond with this alignment of good, with this intention for joy, with this amazing love. And with that, I say thank you, God. And I let this prayer go. And I let it be. And so it is.
If God is all there is, and God is love, then love must be what's underneath this crazy mixed up world. And all I see is fantasy placed upon the altar of a world that's but a dream. If love is all there is, then hate can't be real, and anger's just a game we play to hide from all our fear. How can it be such a mystery that the only thing that matters is the one thing we can't see? If we can just remember who we really are, single drops of water in one sea. If we can just surrender to the love we are, imagine what a world that this could be. If God is all there is, and God is love, then love must be the only thing that's ever going on. How can it be we just can't see that the light that shines inside our brothers shines in you and me? If we can just remember who we really are, single drops of water in one sea. If we can just surrender to the love we are, imagine what a world that this could be. If I love another, I love God. When I touch another, I touch the hand of God. When I praise another, I praise God. And when I hold another, I hold God. If we can just remember who we really are, single drop drops of water in one sea. If we can just surrender to the one we are, imagine what a world that this could be. If we can just remember who we really are, single drops of water in one sea. If we can just surrender to the love we are, imagine what a world that this could be.
All right, Aria.
Thank you.
Perfect song.
There you are. Thank you. Okay, it is time for our offering. So if you would like to prepare your gifts and know that the circulation of love is happening right now, and that as we give so freely, we know that we do good in the world. And so I just bless this opportunity to pray over the abundance that is here, over the joy of giving and receiving, and know that our time this evening has been blessed, and so it is. Thank you so much. Okay. So I would like to thank everyone who has participated in this beautiful service. And that would be starting with our lovely musicians. Love them. Aria, let's give it to her. She's so beautiful. Voice of an angel. And Jim playing beautiful piano music. Oh, amazing.
Thank you, Kevin. Thank you.
And we have Brian, who shared from his heart personal story that touches me so much. Thank you, Brian, for the prayer too, and for just keeping me on task. I appreciate it. And we have Ginny, who is our practitioner coordinator, who is wonderful too. Thank you, Ginny. And Melanie on the sound. And who else do I need to thank here? Tim. Thank you, Tim. We are live streaming, and because of Tim, and recording, so what a blessing he is. And for holding the light back there, Brian, again, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for choosing love for your Wednesday night. It's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing. I often thought, I've been to the same church for 20-something years, and I thought, what if one day the doors just closed? What if they just couldn't stay in business for whatever reason? And I went there Sunday morning. I might have had that dream or something where I couldn't get in, and it no longer was. And how devastated that would be for me, because I love my church so much. And it has changed my life completely. I sat in the back wondering what this is, and was so hungry to know more that I took every class I could, drove my teachers crazy, ended up in ministerial school, and my prayer is always to be where I'm most needed. And so I'm visiting here. I live 3.5 hours away, but this building is so special and so amazing. And Reverend Dr. Christian is, wow. He's wowed me many times as I sat there in ministerial school. So I don't think the doors are going to close, but it keeps me in appreciation. And it keeps me in the knowing that this is such a gift that I get to be here for. And that many people come together to make it happen. And this is a very lively church and a very lively community, and I am blessed by being here. And I think it was Rumi who said, it is only through the heart that one can touch the sky. And because of all of you, that was my experience here tonight. So thank you so much. Be well. Know that God loves you. And go fly in your spirit sky with so much love and light. I bless you all. Thank you.
Ready? We're ready to close and sing together. Here we go.
Love is my decision. It's up to me to give of my heart. Love is my decision, and no one else can tell me to start. And once I decide to change my mind, love will show me how. Love is my decision, right here and now. Love is my decision. It's up to me to dance down that road. Love is my decision, and no one else can lighten my load. No, and once I decide to change my mind, love will show me how. Love is my decision, right here and now. My decision, right here and now.
And please join us for fellowship in the back room, or front room.